But also, here's the thing, right? So let me tell you a quick story. So picture Chicago. You've been to PAXs along the way, right?
I have actually never been to a PAX, no.
You've never been to PAX? Oh, you have to go when the pandemic times are over.
I know.
So head to a PAX. So,
Okay.
So for those of you who have been to a PAX, right, it's this giant place where, video games galore all over the place, booths for all the video games you can imagine. Well, imagine the same thing for disability. So we were in Chicago, and we had this Disabilities Expo called Abilities Expo. You go there and you can see all kinds of cool things like robots that can feed you or that you can flip off your friends or things where you can clap and open up shower curtains and really accessible, cool things. So we set up a booth there as AbleGamers, and, one of the things we did was have a Forza machine for racing. And it was with one of our old controllers where you could play with switches instead of the actual controller, right? So we're there, it's day 2, and this mother and a father and a brother and a sister and another brother are just outside the range of the booth. And I can see that they're interested, but, I want to call them over, right? And they're kind of refusing. They're shaking their head. And the dad's got his hands on the stroller, which has the younger brother in it. And the younger brother has like a reclined in the chair. He's got an oxygen monitor. He's got a tank behind him. He's got a heart monitor on the tray table. He's leaning to the side and he's got a drool bib on. He is a profoundly disabled child. So they don't want to come over. We eventually talk them over and, talk to them about playing, and they don't think it'll work. And Mark and I are sitting there just looking at all the things that the kid is doing while we're talking, and we notice that his foot is twitching just a little bit. And we're like, oh, here it is. So we just kind of look at each other, and we're nodding, and Mark grabs this gas pedal from your car, plugs it into the controller, holds it up under the kid's foot. The kid pushes down on the gas pedal. The car comes roaring to life. He shoots across the speedway, crashes into the wall, and starts just lighting up like a Christmas tree.
Oh my
giggling
God.
And he is so, so happy. And that would be an amazing story if it stopped right there, but it doesn't. The next day, the dad, who is 7.5 feet up above me, and I'm sitting 5.5 feet in a wheelchair off the ground, looking up like, hey, Mr. So-and-so, and he's got tears in his eyes. And he says, Steve, I wanted to thank you for yesterday. And I said, well, no problem. That's what we do. It's what we are here for. He says, no, Steve, you understand. You gave my child a dream. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, my child is nonverbal. He can't communicate with the world. But every weekend, we watch cartoons, and we lay together on the couch, and he puts his head in my lap, and every time a video game commercial comes on, he wiggles and he bubbles, and I know he really wants to play games, but he couldn't. And you guys gave that to him. You gave him the ability to do that, and you gave that dream to him. And at this point, I am in tears and almost falling out of my wheelchair. And I'm like, it's no problem, it's okay. And that was the moment that I really learned that what we do in video games is not letting people play the latest Cyberpunk or the new Forza machine. It's being able to connect to one another so that friends like you and me, or so family members, can get together and continue enjoying the virtual worlds we all love.
Oh my God, that story is, I'm trying really, really hard not to cry right now. That story is...
Make it killer. Yeah.
I mean, I have a nonverbal disabled cousin who actually said her first word after 10 years a couple weeks ago. So like when I think about things like that, and I remember like when she got her first wheelchair that showed her she can't stand, her feet are turned out, she can't hold her head up all the way, but she has a very special wheelchair where she can kind of push her feet, and she was able to move on her own for the first time. Like, I just remember like seeing that in person for the first time and being so overwhelmed. So as like a father, I can't imagine what you did for his kid must have meant to him. And that's, oh God, I've never cried on this show. I'm so emotional. Like, that's amazing. So
yeah, your producers gave me $1 million if I would do that. All right, here we go. No.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Check out more great moments on our YouTube channel. Watch VENN and check out the entire episode over at VENN.tv.